Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wim Lou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast. After the Raptors lose 117 to 101 at home in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Unfortunately, the Raptors' Cinderella run in the NBA Cup is over. It was kind of over like in the second quarter, really, because I'm not gonna lie, I was really excited for this one. The building was really packed. There was a good energy in the building. And the way that first quarter came out, I was like, damn, Raptors playing some good basketball. Like, they weren't up by much, but they were slightly ahead and they were making good plays. And Brandon Ingram, I was like, wow, okay, Brandon Ingram getting buckets over OG Anunoby, going shot for shot with Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson talking shit to like a courtside fan. Shouts to that courtside fan, whoever you are, by the way. He was sitting courtside in a red OG Anunoby #3 Raptors jersey. He was bald and he was going back and forth with Jalen Brunson. It was crazy. Every time Jalen scored, he would look over at this guy. Salute to that fan. But like the energy in the building was good, and the Raptors looked like they were up for a fight. Good ball movement. Raptors were so under staffed with both RJ and IQ out. I mean, that's 40 points out of your lineup, basically. You know you're not going to be able to go shot for shot with the Knicks, who are like one of the best teams. But at least in the first quarter, they were doing it, and the ball movement was good. And the fans got really into it. Like, they were booing Jalen Brunson when he kicked his leg out to draw a foul after Raptors played 22 seconds of great defense. But then Brunson kicked his leg out against Jamal Shead. That actually completely got Brunson going, because Brunson would then go on to make two of the first three free throws, missed the third one. The Knicks got the rebound. Brunson hit a three, then he hit another three, and then he went off. I mean, Jalen Brunson was always going to go off, but 35 points on 13 of 19 shooting. Raptors could not do anything about Jalen Brunson. Towards the end, they were just blind doubling him, and of course, that's wide open threes for the Knicks, who are a great three-point shooting team. But still, first quarter, I was hyped. I was into it, man. And I'm sure you guys watching this were too. But as the game went on, and I mean literally as the game went from the first second on to the second quarter, it was over. It was over. And, I think that it's obviously regrettable that the Raptors don't have their full lineup. You definitely have felt the absence of RJ. That's been talked about ad nauseum since he's gone down, but it's true. Raptors barely struggled to get 100 tonight. Then you don't have IQ. And as divisive as a character as IQ can be for Raptor fans, I mean, we're complaining about, IQ not being the guy. Well, would you rather have no guy? Because the next guy up was Chucky Hepburn. And, very unfair for, I think Chucky, this might be his like home debut in the NBA, but like getting thrown into the rotation, getting thrown into the fire. And as good as he did in the G League, he was not able to replicate that to any degree here in the pros. You also saw when the Raptors went to the second unit, like they just kind of had nothing. When the Raptors were good to start the season, and obviously, they've hit this really cold stretch, losing 6 of 7 now. But when they were good to start the season, and the reason why the Raptors are in the NBA Cup quarterfinals to begin with, even though they look completely out of place tonight, I'm sure a lot of people watching the States probably turn this game off. They're like, what's the point of watching this? Like, clearly one team is better than the other. Anytime the Raptors got within like 12 points, basically, the Knicks would rattle off 3 threes and the Raptors would be down 20 again. But the reason why the Raptors got into this position was actually their bench played quite well. But of course, with the injuries, and also honestly in a tough game, like, you're gonna have some struggles. But man, the struggles were really bad. That second quarter not only changed the entire game and basically decided it right there. The Raptors lost that second quarter 34-13, and it was kind of a miracle the Raptors even got to 13, because I felt like they were stuck on like single digits for like the entire quarter. But yeah, like that completely took the air out of the building, and Brunson continued to dominate. And I could recap all this, but I think we can kind of like move on from what happened in the game, really, to sort of like what this kind of game says about the Raptors. And maybe I'll get back to it, because there's certain moments that I certainly want to highlight. And for a young team, they need to have these lessons. But, I think more than anything else, what this highlights is, like, are the Raptors trying to win this year, or are the Raptors just trying to develop again, man? Because to me, in a must-win game like this, it's not acceptable for the Raptors to come out and do what they did. And I understand they were shorthanded. They were the underdogs against the Knicks, and You don't have your starting backcourt. IQ was not able to play in this one because he was sick. RJ got PRP injection into his knee. They're going to try to see how he's going to do in a week. So, that's the reason why they didn't play. But it's not acceptable to come out like this in a must-win game. And this is what I mean by that. If you were in a play-in scenario, because again, like the NBA Cup is great because if you lose, you don't care that much. If you win, you get excited, right? Because it's not a pseudo playoffs. It's not real stakes. It's like an empty gun to your head versus like a loaded gun to your head. You know what I mean? Like it's not like even like the play-in game where the Raptors have been in the play-in one time. I don't want to revisit that DeAndre DeRozan game, right? But if you actually got to win the game and it's imperative to win the game, and obviously you're facing good opponents like the Knicks, you can't come out like what the Raptors did tonight, man. I mean, you have to really decide who am I going to go with and just go with that. Raptors, by the end of the first half, had ran 10 guys out the rotation, maybe 11. I mean, fully healthy, maybe the Raptors can stretch to that point, but probably not. Realistically, if this is a must-win game, you have 8 guys that you trust, and you pretty much only play 7, And I'm not saying that, like, this is what I want to see from the team going forward because that's not sustainable over the course of the regular season. But this is literally a winner go home game, or I guess winner stay home, because the Knicks are going to go to Las Vegas and Toronto is going to play, again in Toronto. You can't come out of that second quarter like that. I mean, you have in the first quarter, Brandon Ingram giving you buckets, like truly impressive one-on-one against OG Anunoby buckets. Like, it doesn't even get more premium than that. I mean, OG's one of the best defenders in the NBA, period. I don't have to tell any Raptor fan that. Brandon Ingram's scoring on him. And Scotty's coming out and doing a bit of his thing, although Scotty had a really quiet night overall. The ball movement was good. You're going back and forth with this team, and you're right there. Like, the Raptors were up 39-35. It's like, wow, that's one of the best quarters the Raptors had played all season. I'm not even kidding. You cannot then come out the second quarter with Scotty Barnes leading a lineup of Chucky Hepburn, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, and Sandro Mamukelashvili. Like, if it's a must-win game, you cannot be playing some of these guys that, quite frankly, and I like these guys a lot. I've interviewed Grady. I've spent time with Grady. I've interviewed Chucky. I've spent time with Chucky. These are not like personal things, okay? These are not personal. I'm just talking about if you need to win a game right now against a good team like the Knicks, you can't be playing these guys. Like, if this were the playoffs and we saw these guys in the rotation and they give you absolutely nothing across the board for like -10 in 4 minutes, that could be the game right there. And that's why I asked the question, are the Raptors trying to compete and win this year, or are the Raptors trying to develop? Because in no context is that a winning formula. You can hope. Hope is not a winning formula. You can hope that these guys go in the game and they maybe give you something. And I understand you got to play Chucky a little bit because you don't have IQ and Jamal can't play the entire game. Jamal was up and down too, but overall I thought Jamal played really gutsy and actually secured a career high for himself. I'm proud of how Jamal played. But you needed some backup point minutes, but at the same time, you have other ball handlers, right? You have Scotty, you have Brandon. Those other guys can handle the ball a little bit, but maybe even you want to try it a little bit, I suppose. You know what I mean? But man, I watched that out there and I was like, some of these guys are at the moment's too big for them, especially for Grady. Like I almost felt bad for Grady watching him try to take it strong to the basket and do as he's taught sometimes, right? Guys close out against you, a little rip through, put it on the deck, 1-2 dribbles, go to the basket and trying to finish. Like, he's been working on that a lot. If you've really noticed the last 2 years, he's been working on attacking the closeout and putting on the deck and using his length and athleticism. That is cool when you're developing and you're playing like a random meaningless game against Washington and you're like, wow, that's a good make. I even see him hit that move against Evan Mobley. So I was like, okay, cool. That's really impressive. In a do or die game against the Knicks, and you try to do that kind of move where you're softly taking to the basket, and OG Anunoby's back there, the result is what we saw. Like, OG is gonna swallow him up like a shark, like just like literally tear him to shreds. Some of those mid-air blocks by OG, where it's not even like meet him at the rim. It's like, oh, you're on the way up, and before you even get there, I've already swatted you back down to earth. You're falling on your ass, and we're getting the rebound. I'm going the other way. That's grown men versus little boys. And that's what it kind of looked like. Chucky Hepburn as well. If you watch Chucky in the G League, he's been a dog. He's been aggressive on defense. He's been chucking threes. And, you know, that stuff works in the G League because honestly, the defense of the intensity of the G League is generally pretty poor. You're obviously dealing with much lower quality opponents. And, you know, there's been this thing where sometimes players go down to the G League and, you know, they play confident and then they come back to the pros in the NBA and they're like, whoa, hold on. I'm now a little bit intimidated and I'm not going to play the same way. So a lot of times like players struggle with like losing their confidence going from level to level. I don't think that applied to Chucky. Chucky came in this game and immediately started chucking threes. And I'm like, man, that works for Raptors versus Raptors 905, you know, in Greensboro or Raptors 905 in Long Island against the Nets. You can't come in this game based on the way this game was and try to force the issue from three and pull up like that and then drive into the lane, again, weak with the ball, get stripped, go the other way. That took all the air out of the room. The Knicks immediately went on a run. It was more demoralizing because it was while Brunson was out of the game and they went the other way. They dominated. And of course, when the Raptors starters came back in, they started pressing. They tried to do what they could and it wasn't enough. The Knicks just thoroughly outclassed the Raptors the rest of the way. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like it was almost funny listening to Matt, and we love Matt so much, you know, big respects to Matt Devlin. You know, literally I have a handshake with Matt and I have a conversation with him every game before the game. But you know, Raptors basketball is truly back when Matt Devlin is trying to sell you that they're going to go on a 20-point comeback against a clearly superior opponent. Okay. Like, you know, it's like that immediately triggered to like LeBronto years. I was like, oh, okay. They're right there. Nah, I don't think they're right there. But in any case, I don't blame Matt, but the situation is kind of what it is. Right. So that was difficult to watch. And for me, it's just like, are we prioritizing development? You know, are we going to go to the podium afterwards and say we're proud of our effort? Or are we going to, you know, take this thing seriously in the sense of like, look, if the Raptors try to win this year, they're underprepared. I mean, yes, they're injured today. You know, no RJ, no IQ. I don't know if that would have mattered. The Knicks are clearly on a different level. The Knicks should be representing the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals come next June. I actually really like this Knicks team, and I think their quality is very good. Yes, I was mad at Brunson for flopping, but man, I mean, this guy also made like 100 tough buckets. Like, you got to respect just how tough he is. But like, yeah, are we trying to actually win this year? Because if we are, we're just underprepared. A lot of these young guys aren't ready to win, man. Like, you could hope for a good game. Honestly, tonight, Jamal played as good as he can. Literally had a career high. Jacoby, after a slow start, played as good as he can. Jacoby was out there knocking down threes. And in that third quarter where the Raptors kind of went shot for shot with the Knicks for a while, it was like, okay, like a lot of that was, Walter and Shead. And honestly, these two guys were also big in the first quarter as well, making 3 threes there. And then they made some threes in the third quarter as well. Jacoby goes for 13 points. This is like a best case scenario almost for Jacoby in this type of competitive environment. And the same thing goes for Jamal Shead. Reality is we have a lot of developing players on the second unit, and then we have mostly win now players in the starting lineup. And that's where you see the dissonance, because you look at Brandon Ingram's quality. I mean, Ingram is getting covered, double teamed, getting covered by the best defenders in the league, like OG. Bridges, which I was surprised that they switched up the match because Bridges did so well holding Ingram to only 4 made baskets in the last time the Raptors played the Knicks. So I thought they would keep that matchup, but they actually put Bridges on the ball. So they put Bridges on Jamal Shead. They put Hart on Scotty Barnes, and then they put OG on Brandon Ingram. So they completely changed the matchups. But regardless, Brandon, like, look at his skill level, right? He's in his prime. He's an all-star. He's looking to get back to the all-star game. And based on the way he's playing, how could you deny him? I mean, national TV, all the pressure's on you. Goes for 31 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, making tough shots, making 2 threes back-to-back to sort of pull the Raptors, just pull momentum out of nowhere, basically, to start the third quarter. He's even making defensive plays. He's cut down the turnovers after starting the game with an unfortunate turnover. Like, he's playing great. Like, you look at him, you're like, okay, damn, like, I could see how, like, this was such a valuable addition and what he could do for us. But you can't then pair him with a bunch of guys that aren't ready. Like, you look at the Knicks, for example, right? Once they got the initial start to something, which was RJ, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson. That was the 3 that they had before. People used to call that the mid 3. I mean, first off, that 1 is clearly better than the other 2, and they're honestly a little bit better than mid, with Brunson being elite. But in any case, They had young players at that time. And then when they were able to sort of turn that into a playoff appearance, they then started adding more pieces. Josh Hart, that's a win now player. That's a solidly built dude. He's smart. He's brave. He's stepping into threes. You could trust him. He's tough as hell. He'll fight. He can guard anybody. I want Josh Hart on my team any day of the week. They bring in Josh Hart. Then they're like, okay, you know what? We have Josh Hart. Now we need to sort of bring in a 3-and-D guy. So what? We're going to trade some of our young assets, and we're going to bring in literally the best 3-and-D player in the NBA in OG Anunoby. Come on down. Yes, we'll pay you $40 million. Is that what you're really worth? It doesn't matter. To us, you're worth that because we're trying to win right now. And then they're like, you know what? We're going to go a step further. We're going to go out there, and we're going to get Mikal Bridges. And yes, it costs 5 first-round picks. Is he really worth 5 first-round picks? Who cares? He's a very good player. And we saw that last year with what they did against the Celtics. And they do this over and over again. They had Hartenstein. They unfortunately couldn't keep him. They make the ballsy trade with Randall and DiVincenzo to get Cat, which it's certainly a talent upgrade. I mean, Cat can still be untrustworthy, but that's still an all-star center. Like, what are we nitpicking here? They just keep adding talent, and you look at their bench, it's veterans. It's Jordan Clarkson, which, against most teams probably wouldn't be able to do this, but certainly an experienced scorer in this league, and he looked at the Raptors' on-ball defenders. Like, 2 weeks ago, Darko was saying to Jamal, why can't you be the best on-ball defender in the league? And now 2 weeks later, Jordan Clarkson's posting him up and hitting turnaround jumpers that Jamal literally can't do nothing about, right? But, like, there's a skill level there. He's a veteran. He's done this before. He's been on playoff runs. Then they bring in, like, Gershon Yabusele, which isn't even that impressive. Like, he's not even playing well, but you know what I mean? Like, all these guys are vets. Like, the only young guy they played tonight was Tyler Kolek. That's the team ready to go. That's the team ready to go. And I see the Raptors as, kind of what, and I hate to say this, but this is what the detractors said about the Raptors coming into the season is they got a bit of an identity crisis. Because, like, what is it really about, right? Is it about trying to win these games, which some guys are ready to do that, or is it trying to develop again? Because you're gonna need patience. These young guys, some of these guys played as well as they could. You know what I mean? Jamal, Jacoby, they played the hearts out. Like, bless their hearts. This is the best they can do. 18 points, 13 points. Try to put a little bit pressure on defense. Occasionally win a couple steals here or there, but ultimately not be able to stop anybody. I mean, both of those guys were tasked to guard Brunson. Brunson goes for 35, right? So, if you're talking about that's our stoppers versus their stoppers are OG and Mikal Bridges, like it's not even a fair fight, right? So, what is the actual goal of the season? And that's really, for me, like the biggest takeaway from this game was just Raptors got caught, not in a lie, because I feel like that makes them sound like they're being devious, but they got caught in a dichotomy, right? Like, they're trying to do both things, and maybe in doing so, they're not doing either thing. And that's the part that's concerning, because we are clearly not, like, at that level. I think if the Raptors played the Magic, for example, I think it would be the exact same result. The Magic would have easily beat the Raptors as well. They're physical, they're tough, they have the scorers to sort of, push the Raptors around. The Raptors would have to scramble, and a lot of that would be an issue too. But of course, I think the Knicks, again, are the best team in the Eastern Conference. I said that before the season started. I truly believe that right now as well. They haven't played a tough schedule just yet, but again, we can see their quality, right? So we're not in the same league as the Knicks. Like, Raptors have lost 10 straight games to the Knicks now. It's we're not in the same league. But at the same time, I think I'm also quite proud of some of the things I saw today. In terms of if the Raptors are trying to win now, the steps made in the right direction, now that we can take stock on the first third of the season, with the NBA Cup officially over, is that Brandon Ingram is a real addition to this team, man. And it's not just saying this after one game. We've seen Brandon Ingram have ups and downs, and, all that's there. But if we take a step back for a second, we didn't really give up that much for Brandon Ingram. Like, basically, it was like a free agent signing. Raptors got rid of some salary, got rid of a pick that wasn't theirs. It's by sheer fortune that pick became quite good. But you cannot tell me that Indiana was going to, literally collapse like the way they have right now. But it was a real addition. Brandon Ingram was a very good player. We see the quality that he has in these games when everyone's running scared. Everyone's like, I can't really execute. I'm making mistakes. I'm pressing. Who is the guy that you trust? And who's the guy that the players trust? You know what I mean? Not just you as the fan or Darko as the coach, but his actual teammates, they're stopping the play and giving it to Brandon Ingram. And you might say, well, they shouldn't stop the ball so much. They got to, the Raptors' identity is ball movement, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's cute. That's really cute until the other team starts playing really aggressive defense, until the Raptors' young guys can't make shots because they're getting tight. And now your ball movement is going nowhere and you're causing turnovers, right? When the game gets tough, they gave the ball to Brandon Ingram. And honestly, I was really impressed with Brandon. Like, look, we know what Brandon is. He's been an all-star level player in the past. He's made the all-star game before. I mean, he's been playing in the West. Like, if he played in the East, I'm sure he would have made more than just one all-star. But aside from availability, like, this is a quality player. Like, the shots that he was making, again, I can't stress this enough. We're talking about OG Anunoby getting paid $40 million to play defense and hit some threes. And he can't keep up with Brandon. Brandon's dropping like Josh Hart to his knees. You know what I mean? At half court. Like like it was legit to shake that ass for me type of move from Josh Hart as Brandon Ingram hit with the killer crossover and pulled up. Like that shot making was tough. And look, it's not going to do this every game. And we've seen that from Brandon. Some games he doesn't have this, right? This is clearly one of the hotter games. But I also choose to see it as this is a game where he was locked in. This is a game where teams were really keyed in on him and he still went off. Like, that's talent. That's real talent. That's a step in the right direction. I look at a game like this and I look at Jamal and I'm like, you know what? I respect Jamal for having the mental fortitude to go out there and fight. In terms of trying to win and trying to develop, I think you can, develop good habits by playing competitive basketball. And I think Jamal is a walking example of a competitor who understands what it takes to fight. There's almost a shamelessness with Jamal. He will do anything. He will fight hand-to-hand combat with Jalen Brunson. Like, that is a huge mismatch. Like, if you just started this game right here and you looked at the lineups, you're like, okay, Raptors got Jalen Brunson on the other side and we got Jamal Shead. It's like, okay, the game's already over by that point. But Jamal, he wasn't willing to accept that. He fought. He cut for baskets. He got the three-point shot to drop again. That's been missing for his game for the last couple games. Like, and the way he competed, the way he went after it, there's clearly flaws to his game. Like, there's a real limitation to how much a point guard can defend when he's that short, right? Because Jamal does the great things, but ultimately Brunson shot over him, Clarkson shot over him. That's not stuff that he can really control in the future. He's not going to grow. And also offensively, he's not really creating that much offense for you. If anything, he was mostly finishing off of cuts and spot up threes. But in a tough game where a lot of young guys wilted, Jamal didn't. And I'm really proud of how Jamal played in that sense. I'm proud of how Jacoby played. First half wasn't there for him. Looked like, not as shaky as, Grady and Chucky, but he was there. You know what I mean? Like, he was struggling too. And then in that third quarter, he comes in, he steps in, he knocks down some threes, he gets in for a dunk. He starts, using his athleticism. Like, I can squint and see it. Like, realistically, if we gave it this 2 or 3 more years, he could be like a good 3-and-D guy for us. Like, maybe reliable, maybe starting level quality guy. You know what I mean? He's also not much of a shot creator either, but I like his defense. I like the fact that he's willing to take a shot. Like, those are positive qualities. So it's not like you can't get good things out of a loss like this. But you, on the other hand, how long could you really afford to wait, right, on the two timelines thing? Because to me, okay, Scotty obviously didn't play well tonight. Only 13 points on 6 of 18 shooting, one of his worst games of the season. I don't even know if the Knicks did anything that successfully to sort of stop Scotty, but he just wasn't able to, convert and finish. He's been playing fantastic. He's been the best player on this team, and it's completely unfair to judge him on this game. However, the stakes were quite high, and he did not deliver in this sense. But whatever, like that'll happen, right? He's not gonna be perfect, but like Scotty's clearly ready to sort of take a leap and make a jump, and he's ready to play. Brandon Ingram is ready. He's been ready. He's doing this. Jakob should have been the third guy in this game because he's obviously the third starter that's still healthy, or at least in the game. Maybe healthy's too much with his back, but Jakob should have been the third guy when we're like, you know what? We can go with war with Jakob right now. Like, clearly there's 3 guys in this team ready to go to war and a bunch of young guys like hoping to sort of make up the lost time. Jakob was the other part in this game that was like, man, I felt bad. Like, I genuinely felt bad. Like, it wasn't funny to me to see him try to run a fast break and steam headlong into Josh Hart for a charge. It wasn't funny to me to see him lose the offensive rebound twice to Karl Anthony Towns, get physically mauled, and have to ultimately give up the foul for Cat to go to the foul line. It wasn't funny to me to see Jakob, start the third quarter with an open lane to the basket, which most centers in the NBA, I would say like 90% of centers in the NBA, would take one hard dribble to gather and then go up for a layup at least, or try to dunk and maybe get fouled in the process. But it's an open lane for a 7-footer, and you're at the restricted circle. You take one dribble, you go up, right? He tries to go in for the little touch floater. And obviously we know Jakob can make that. But man, just because he can make that doesn't mean it's a good shot. In that situation, it suggested to me that he wasn't physically ready to go in there and play at the level requisite of a playoff game. You start this game, Raptors clearly were trying to hide Jakob Poeltl on defense, and the Knicks were clearly trying to hunt Jakob Poeltl on offense, to the point where they had Scottie Barnes guarding Karl Anthony Towns, which, by the way, every time Scottie guards a center, it feels like it drains too much out of his legs energy-wise to sort of box him out and push him around. And then at that point, there's no more energy for him to be good offensively. If you really look at it, Scottie's numbers offensively when he plays center defensively have to be garbage. Like it's too much. Like very few players are able to do both at the same time. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like Scottie's strong, he's big, but he's not as big as these 7-footers. And you're not asking him to then also run the offense going the other way. Like, I can understand. But in any case, they're already trying to hide Jakob before anything happens, because they're putting him on Josh Hart and they're putting Scottie on Karl Anthony Towns. Now, this is something that teams do against the Knicks, right? They put their 4s on Cat because Cat's more mobile, shoots the 3, you need more mobility. And then you hide a center on Josh Hart and you hope to help off of him to sort of play defense with a help defender in the lane. This is a common strategy. Like teams do this all the time to the Knicks. However, the Knicks were like, oh, Jakob Poeltl's out there. Bring him into the screen. Josh Hart, come in here. Cat, you can just sit over there. Chill. Just space the floor. Occupy Scottie. Maybe come in for a rebound, whatever. But we're not even going to use Cat. It's okay. You guys paid $50 million. It doesn't matter to us. It doesn't matter to us that we have an all-star who makes $50 million. We'd rather park him on the side so that we can bring in Josh Hart to bring in Jakob Poeltl on the pick and roll every time. And the times where the Raptors couldn't execute on their switches, and they had to be perfect to avoid the switch because the Knicks are intentionally hunting the mismatch. When Jakob got switched on to Jalen Brunson in the first quarter, it was like, man, they looked like they were playing two different sports. Like, it looked like gym class. Like when you were in gym class and there was like some really athletic kids and there was just some rare normal kids who were like, man, when does, I'm trying to break for lunch and then, do English class in the third quarter. Like, I'm not trying to play basketball against somebody who's like way more athletic than me and taller and hit puberty earlier. You know what I mean? Like we've all been there in gym class. That's what it felt like, man. It felt like they were bullying him. Like it was, not even just like that basic, not even that fancy of moves. It was just even small things like trying to hedge on a pick and roll, and they would just beat him to the spot and then get a foul called on him. It was just like over and over again. Watching Jakob going for the push floater to the start of the third quarter, watching Jakob short roll, then throw a pass to literally nobody. Like there was an option on the wing, there was an option in the corner. He threw it right in between of them. Like it was, he bisected the Raptors' 2 teammates that he had on that play. Watching him, and then of course at the end of the game, get benched for Colin Murray Boyles as the Raptors were desperately trying to come back. And maybe you would say, oh, it's small ball. Nah, man, they weren't even playing Colin on the perimeter. Small ball is you space the floor, Sandro the 5, whatever. Like they were playing CMB in the dunker spot like Jakob because they actually looked at it and they were like, you know what? CMB as a rookie right now, undersized, is a better option than Jakob. And that's disappointing to me, man. I know the back issue is what it is. And it's very unfortunate. I don't think people want to hear about it every game, but it's a real thing. And it concerns me because it has continued to linger now for 2+ months. And there's not many breaks in the season for it to get better. And quite frankly, the Raptors can't really perform without Jakob. But I think watching this game, it may be a concern. It's like, there's more years on this contract, man. Like they literally just got extended. And it's not looking particularly good. And so, even when you hear these rumors of like, the Raptors, Shams dropped a rumor today that Raptors could be interested in Anthony Davis. And, what will that trade package look like? Well, I mean, look, if you could escape some of the contracts you have right now, if you could put Jakob and RJ and some prospect like a Jacoby or Grady and a first round pick for AD. Yes, it's worrisome to get AD because his unavailability is a thing, but at this rate, you could also escape off of some of the contracts on Toronto's side. So, and I hate saying this because I respect Jakob. I know what he's done for the Raptors. I know that he came at a time where the Raptors were going one way and Jakob was going another. And Jakob Poeltl might be literally the walking embodiment of the fact that the Raptors have tried to do two things at once and kind of failed at both, which is developing and winning. And he is literally the walking embodiment of that, because when the Raptors were trying to tank that year, they got Jakob against the grain. And, that has sort of been the investment they've had to double down on ever since. But it was really painful to watch him like that, because I don't think anybody, and I think Jakob's a prideful guy. He may not say that much, but I think he's a prideful guy. He knows he's a lot better than that. And to get benched for a rookie in that moment and know that you played that way to deserve it is a tough spot. So, I think that it's a good time for the Raptors to sort of maybe take a step back, evaluate what they have on the season. It's great that they were able to run off the 13 of 14 wins, but clearly this is not a team at that level. We are not a tier 1 team in the Eastern Conference. We are not a tier 2 team in the Eastern Conference. We're sometimes able to play at a tier 2 level, but realistically, we're probably a tier 3 team in the Eastern Conference. Play-in quality. They have a lot of young guys who aren't quite ready to sort of take it to that next level. There's a couple of young guys who may get left behind. If the Raptors want to start competing right now, guys get left behind. You're not going to lose patience, man. Like, the fact that the Raptors are already saying AJ Lawson come in here for Grady Dick. I mean, AJ Lawson didn't do much either, but it's like, well, I mean, if you had to win a game tomorrow, who would give you more? Yeah, you're probably screwed either way, but the fact that answer isn't definitively Grady in year 3 is a bit of a problem. And maybe for Grady, he takes a little bit more time, he develops a little bit more, and he comes into being the player that he is. That's all entirely possible. But again, if the timeline has moved up and if the Raptors are trying to win, well, this is what we get. You know what I mean? So you might just get left behind based on circumstances. So my big takeaway from this is just, are we trying to win or are we trying to develop? So it's I know it's unfortunate, man. I know people are angry right now. I know people are kind of making mean comments about the team. I think a lot of people are probably expecting me to come in yelling about the team. I think in my heart of hearts, I truly knew what this game was going to be. This game was always going to be a situation where you're playing a team that the Raptors straight up have not beaten in years, don't match up well with, and the Raptors are playing both injured and also not confident. And so, yeah, tough lessons here tonight. But we're going to take a quick break, get to some of your questions, and try not to scare you next time by not putting an intro before I start the show.
This segment is presented by Table Fare and Social. Get your pregame bites and after-work drinks at Table. It's at a great location right across the street from Scotiabank Arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal. Will, what are we having at Table Fare and Social?
Well, they got one of our favorites in the city, Alouette.
Ooh.
And of course, Alouette. Incredible food.
The wedge salad?
The wedge salad, exactly. Imagine you're about to watch a Raptors game, you're about to watch a Leafs game, you're about to catch a concert at Scotiabank, and beforehand, we get together, get a couple of drinks at Alouette, get that salad. We're ready for anything, man.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of options at Table Fare and Social. This is your go-to spot. Next time you're off to a game, check out Table Fare and Social, a downtown food hall right across from the arena for some great pregame bites and drinks.
Okay, we have a lot of questions starred in the chat. Big thanks to intern Krem for coming in here and tagging some of the questions that you have dropped into it. We'll take a lot of them as we go. And I may touch on some of the other plays because I know I didn't really touch too much on recapping this game, but I'm assuming you all kind of watched it. There were also a lot of just unfortunate plays, man. Like Brunson sticks his leg out, gets a 3-point foul call on Shead. That's the second foul. Shead has to go to the bench. Then Brunson makes the first two, misses the third one. The Raptors then can't get the rebound. It goes the other way, and then Brunson hits the three, and that literally launched him to having this game. Like, he probably would have gone off anyway because he's a great player, but that literally, like, it went from a 0 point play to a 5 point play. Like that's a huge swing, right? Um, you also had a huge swing later on where Raptors were intentionally fouling Mitchell Robinson, and then they should. Mitchell Robinson's shooting 17% from the foul line coming into this game. Like, I'm not kidding. That's a real stat. He's shooting 17% from the foul line coming into this game. He misses the free throw, which obviously is the whole goal, and the Raptors somehow don't box out. They allow the offensive rebound, and they go out, and all of a sudden Brunson's another three. Like, that's, again, another 3-point swing. And you add up a lot of those plays and a lot of those misplays, really. I mean, sometimes it is about star quality and it is about sort of the talent. And I'm not going to deny that the Knicks have way more talent than the Raptors. But sometimes it's also about the experience and whether you keep your head or not. Raptors were losing their head all over the place. And this isn't just like, the young guys too. Like even their main guys were losing their head. Jakob losing his head. Some of the plays he was making, I mean, like he should end up on Shackton a fool for that fast break. It was crazy. It was like a 4-on-1 fast break, and he charged into the one defender there was for the Knicks. Like, how did that even happen? He had all the time in the world to give it up. You just never see that from Yak. You know what I mean? And even Scotty, I thought made some misplays in this one, but yeah, it's tough. Okay, let's get to some of your questions from this game. Yeah, let's actually just roll through a whole bunch of these, to be honest. We keep trying to build around power forwards, and it's never worked for us. What else? When was the last time we tried to build around a power forward? Like Chris Bosh? That wasn't Bosch's fault. I think the Raptors just didn't get a lot of good talent around Chris Bosh. Like, we could say what we want, but the talent around Scotty Barnes. There's been Pascal, there's been OG, Fred. Now you got Brandon Ingram, RJ, Jakob, IQ. It's not nothing. Like, trust me, Chris Bosh didn't have none of those guys. Like, all those guys I mentioned would have been Chris Bosh's best teammate. I'm not even kidding. So, actually, shout out to a bunch of Raptor fans tonight. I mean, I saw more Chris Bosh jerseys tonight in the building than I have in years, really, man. There was like a stretch where I saw like there's one section where there was like 3 Chris Bosh fans like sitting, and not even together. They were all just sitting separately, but you just never see Chris Bosh jerseys anymore. Like you would, I honestly, I might see more like Jose Calderon jerseys than Chris Bosh jerseys. It's kind of nuts, but I don't think it's an issue of building around power forwards, though. I don't think so. I mean, I know the Vision 6-9 thing is not particularly great, but again, the issue to me in this game was Raptors had a lot of inexperienced players and not enough good players, period. Those were the 2 big things that from this game. CMB needs to learn how to go up through traffic, or at least develop the footwork to do so. He's left 8+ points on the floor because of it. Yeah, I do think that like it's been a bit of a struggle for CMB to play confidently on offense. We've seen moments when he started the season where he's playing the 5, where he was able to stretch it out from 3. And that's been a positive development, but it's not obviously a consistent part of his game. It's just like occasionally he's going to hit a 3. But mostly he's got to play downhill. And I think between the size and the physicality jump in the NBA, he's not fully playing through that. And you see a lot of moments where he's eagerly turning down layups to pass it out. That's okay if the Raptors had really good 3-point shooters, but they don't. So they really need guys to convert. And CMB is in position where, like this person's mentioning, like if he makes a move, if he makes a counter, if he doesn't only go to the left hand, like there's probably more chances for him to sort of go up around there. But yes, he is leaving points around the basket. There's going to be lots of steps to his development, and certainly that's one of them. By the way, just try not to look at the Derek Queen stat lines, okay? Try not to look at the Derek Queen stat lines. I will not be doing a victory lap around that. I love Derek Queen coming into this draft. You can go back to all the draft coverage. And yeah, DQ just had like a 33, 10, and 10 game. So again, try not to look at it. 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 Next one. To think Alex had to witness that in person. Yeah, he did actually pay his hard-earned money to go down to this game. He actually took his little nephew. I believe I'm told it was Henry and not Owen. So apologies to both Henry and Owen for getting them confused for each other. But Uncle Alex right now, I believe, is in a lift from Scotiabank Arena to Uptown to drop his nephews off and then to go home and presumably prepare the pod for tomorrow morning when the Raptors when we'll do another episode tomorrow. But yeah, tough one to see in person. But I gotta say, it was actually a really fun crowd. I don't know, maybe it doesn't come across on TV, but at least in the first half, like there was some really good energy in this one. CMB rolls better than Scotty and Jakob. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. He is a good roller in the sense that he knows how to screen. He knows how to get separation. He's already doing little subtle things like little push-offs on screens to sort of get The ball handler a little bit more space, but like no, he's not a better roller than those guys. I mean, honestly, like when Jakob's healthy, Jakob's a very good roller, man. Not because he's dunking everything, but because he's able to finish everything without dunking everything, which is a pretty rare skill. Grady can't shoot, and this in this game he couldn't dribble, man. I don't know. For Grady, it's been tough, man. It's been really tough. Like I sensed there was a lot of momentum for Grady coming into this season because even in training camp, like Grady was playing ahead of Ochai, he was playing ahead of Jacoby, he was playing definitely ahead of Jameson and Elijah and AJ, like all the other shooting guards. Like he was clearly back up behind RJ. And I still remember being in Calgary watching the scrimmage where it's the only time of the year where you get to the public gets to watch Raptors versus Raptors in an open practice setting. And I remember that first quarter that Grady played in that scrimmage, and I was there in person seeing it. Like he had like a crossover step back three over Brandon Ingram, and I was like, dog, this is whoa. Like if Grady's gonna take a leap, and Grady also to start last year was giving us like 20-point games on a regular basis, and I know the Raptors were losing those games, and I knew that was obviously a bit of fool's gold, but it showed that there was something there. And to see sort of how far the confidence has slipped, I mean, obviously coming off the bench again is not as good as playing in the starting lineup when you have better players around you. But man, like watching this game, like it was immediately clear in this one, like, oh yeah, Grady's not up for this game. Like, he's turning down open threes, he's missing open threes, he's driving into traffic, getting swatted by OG, he's getting hunted on defense. It's like, what can you say? Like he needs a break. It feels like he needs I mean, he's still, I guess, college age. Like feels like he needs reading week. You know what I mean? Like he looks like he's like drowning a little bit. And I know he's a better player than this. This is not just me being sympathetic because we did the event together. Like I'm just genuinely sympathetic watching him because I know he's better than this. And right now he's not able to contribute at all. Like this game, the Celtics game, like as soon as Grady got on the floor, I'm like, oh yeah, they need to take him off the floor. And it's rare that you think that about anybody. You know what I mean? Someone said, no lie, I booked a flight to Vegas at the end of the first quarter, canceled it by 8:05 of the second quarter. Yeah, that's why they give you 24-hour cancellation on flights, okay? That was a very heads-up move, actually, to make sure you got your seat down to Vegas. But yeah, that was a good decision to cancel it. As soon as the second quarter started, I knew we were in trouble. Yeah, that's definitely true. We don't have the depth for next man up. One step at a time. They will get there, though. Trades and draft, but two starters missing was glaring. Yes, for sure. Like, again, like the Raptors, I wouldn't say they embarrassed themselves. They didn't really embarrass themselves. They just clearly weren't on the same level as the Knicks. No one expects the Raptors to be in the same level as the Knicks, even when healthy. But you don't have two guys in RJ and IQ. And this is the thing. Like, I know people complain about these guys. I'm sure sometimes I critique them too. But we could all do that with the acknowledgement. Like, oh yeah, we're not critiquing them in the sense that like the other guys are going to come in and do better. Like, because we know that these are our best options, man. Like, there is not a real next man up. I mean, honestly, Jamal played out of his mind. Well, not out of his mind. He played really well today and definitely better than usual. I mean, again, he posted a career high. But Jamal is good as a backup. When you make him your starter, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? It's like having a car and a bicycle. Like, a lot of days, summertime, things are good. You ride your bike to work. You ride your bike around. You're like, screw parking. I'm just going to bike around. I get to explore the city. It's going to be good. It comes down to wintertime, and it's snowing outside. It's -6. You got to get groceries. Good luck getting that shit on your bicycle instead of taking your car. And the starters are your car. Like, yeah, a lot of times you're gonna be complaining like, oh, I gotta park, I gotta put the gas in, gotta get the winter tires changed, I gotta get insurance. You don't have to do any of that with a bike. You just straight up go outside with your block, do whatever you need. But push comes to shove, it's good to have both options, is what I'm trying to say. And right now, I mean, today it literally felt like watching Jamal look like you were trying to ride a bike through downtown Toronto right now with all the snow that's on the floor. And yeah, we don't have next man up, man. It's not even close. Darko cannot make up the difference for injuries or off nights. There's a lot of critique of Darko. I don't really know. I guess Darko could have just straight up not played some of these guys and limited the rotation, but I don't know. Yeah, that's probably what he should have done. That's the only critique I would have had in this game. Of Darko. What else do we have, man? 70% of our losing plays and mistakes were entirely on Darko and his bizarre choices. Well, okay, well, we've really gone the two extremes here. We got one guy saying Darko can't do anything, the other part saying Darko can do anything. I think the part that Darko can't do much about is young guys making mistakes or guys feeling pressed. I think if you watch this game, when the game started slipping, the Raptors stopped trusting each other. First, when they started the game, I thought they trusted each other well. They trusted in their identity, which is they're going to press full court and they're going to go all out. I mean, Jamal was so amped and so up for this game. He was consistently pressuring nonstop. But once Brunson got going, they were like, oh, they started getting terrified and they stopped, and the defensive pressure kind of backed off of him. Now, of course, like, what do you expect? Brunson's a dog. Like, Brunson's such a dog that, like, not only is he scoring like that, but the one time he got stripped by Jamal, after all that effort, the one time he got stripped, Jamal gets a strip, he throws it ahead to Scotty. Scotty should have had a dunk. And Jalen Brunson, with his team literally up 20 points in the fourth quarter, comes back and slaps the ball out of Scotty's hands for out of bounds. It might have been called a foul. Who knows? It wasn't called a foul. But the point is he never gave up. Even in that moment, that's winning mentality, man. 20 points in the fourth quarter of the game, secure. Raptors have no chance. They're on he makes a mistake, but he still goes back and atones for it. Like, that's leadership, man. That's toughness. But you can't back down from that toughness. You got to rise up to that challenge. And I think for a lot of the Raptors young guys, like, and maybe even the team as a whole, they stopped trusting. They were just like, okay, BI, please, where's BI? Let's get the ball to BI. That's not productive in the long run, man. You got to do something for yourself, too. Like, there's got to be responsibility. I'm sorry, but Darko basketball is not supposed to look like Dwayne Casey basketball, where it's two guys scoring the ball and everyone else get the rebound and defend. Like, that's not what this team is made of. And say what you want. Maybe that style works better. Maybe that's more realistic for the NBA. That's whatever for you to decide, taste-wise, preference-wise. That's debatable. But the plan is the plan, and the Raptors deviated from the plan. Stopped trusting each other, got more conservative, started playing scared, and yeah, they're gonna get blown away. That's always what happens when you try to play like that. I don't know if it was said earlier, but if they didn't have that god awful second, they're in a position to win the game. Maybe. I don't know if you can say that for sure, but that second quarter certainly was impossible to watch. And honestly, like, it was self-inflicted. That's where you can also blame Darko. It's like, you don't have to play the bad players, especially if it's a tough game. Like, you don't have to play the bad players. What else? Scotty didn't even look like he wanted to be out there. I don't know if that's true. I think Scotty competes hard. I think there's always going to be a tough matchup for him just because of the fact that the Knicks have so many big wing defenders and rim protectors. And as much as Scotty has hit the outside shot in the mid-range or whatever, his scoring primarily comes out of the rim. And there's few teams like the Knicks that have the physicality to guard him. That's why I thought the Magic are going to be a bad matchup for them too. If the Raptors did somehow beat the Knicks today and then face the Magic in Vegas in the next quarterfinal or in the semifinals, it's the same struggle. Like, they have that type of formula. And honestly, a lot of good teams have the formula to stop Scotty from scoring efficiently. And that truly does concern me. This is what happens when the team artificially goes from talking to competing. We're trying to flip a switch instead of building up to it. Yeah, maybe. But also at the same time, like, I do think that, like, them winning 13-14, like, is not a bad thing. Like, I don't know why people are holding this against them. Like, the proof of concept of this team having an identity and actually working, that's a good thing. And I think that, like, part of the lessons you take away from these type of games is, like, well, you actually need, like, teams to game plan against the Raptors. Let's be real. How many teams are roaring to go in October and November? Very few. How many teams are fully healthy and, had their best players available when the Raptors played them? Obviously, there were a couple of games the Raptors dodged a couple of bullets. And then on top of all that, and this is the most important thing, how many teams were actually like, yo, we got the Raptors coming in. We got to focus on what they do. This is what they like to do. We're going to not only, coaches are going to game plan. I mean, that's their job. But for the players to lock in and try to execute that game plan and play with that intensity, the last couple games, you've actually seen teams, like, truly get into gear and then load up on what the Raptors do and specifically force Raptors to the counters. And that's where the counterpunch has not been there at all. And you know what? That's a learning experience. That's where the Raptors need to improve. Honestly, their A game is not bad. Like, it's good enough to against a lot of teams. Their A game being Brandon, being Scotty, being healthy Jakob, healthy IQ, healthy RJ. The A game's been good. But when they've been forced to go to the second guys and they've swarmed Brandon and they've exhausted him and they've loaded up on Scotty as well, There's nothing else. There's nothing else. So that's the lesson is the other guys got to keep getting better. And that's where the development for the other guys have to sort of, to their point, they have to build up to it. That's what the build up is, actually. AJ Lawson got 10 points the other night. He gets no minutes. Yeah, well, politics, NBA politics, man. What can you say, man? When you're two-way versus when you're a first-round pick, it's just different. It's just different. Raptors will have to take the L and try to take whatever draft place to upgrade this this team. Trying to win right now is stressing the team out, and they're looking defeated. I think yes or no. I mean, look, you could tank every year, and you can always say that's the logical move because we're not that good. But I do think that like a team ultimately needs to take responsibility of themselves and actually do the hard thing of climbing and trying to build something into themselves. And I don't mind the Raptors wanting to compete and trying to capitalize on some of the main guys they have right now. And obviously they got Brandon, they got Scotty, they got some other guys, but like trying to capitalize on that and pushing themselves to improve. Like I truly don't feel like teams improve when they're just like, oh yeah, we're okay with losing. Like what I saw tonight was also a lot of bad habits from the young guys. I mean, that stuff won't fly when you're actually trying to win. And you're going to have to learn these tough lessons eventually. So why not try to do it right now? Yeah, what else, man? Can we talk about why the threes are coming from so deep? I mean, sometimes you're chucking from deeper because you can't actually get space. One of the issues with the Raptors, I mean, with offensively in terms of talent, like this is why RJ is so prominently missed, and even IQ to an extent in this game. But Raptors don't have a lot of guys who can dribble from the top and get to the rim and finish with any sort of authority. Like Jacoby, Jamal, Ochai, Grady. Some of their offensive inconsistencies is they don't have the handle to create anything. Like no team is ever afraid of any of those four guys dribbling the ball, like period, right? In any context. And that's just a lot of lack of on-ball creation. Now, Scotty can do it. He mostly powers through teams, but mostly he can do it. But you're always going to run into a stronger opponent, like literally OG stronger than him, or even the Knicks with their rim protection is stronger than him. Brandon Ingram, he can drive, and he did drive a lot today, but he's going to try to score at all three levels. And there's an energy threshold to how much he has. He's not going to do it all by himself. He's not a guy he's not James Harden, MVP James Harden, lifting the whole team. He's not. He's a scorer. He's going to give you his sort of package. Hopefully it's efficient, and you're going to have to be happy with that because it's a pretty good one. But yeah, the rest of the team, they have no self-creation ability at all, man. And that's why Darko's system of like moving, cutting, screening for each other, timing it precisely, running the fast breaks, like those are good because it requires not much actual dribbling and creating. And I know Darko doesn't like dribbling really that much. Darko definitely prefers to play off a pass and score off the pass and dribbling. That's fine. That's an ideal plan. But again, a lot of times the games get tough. Guys aren't making shots. Guys get tight. And you have to see what you truly got. And that's where, like, guys, being able to attack off the dribble is like a fundamental skill in basketball. You can't just overlook it because you prefer, like, screening and cutting. Like, yeah, of course, I would prefer a cut over a drive. Like, it's easier to cut. But you just, no, you can't cut the whole game. Like, this isn't high school. You know what I mean? So, yeah, coming back. RJ coming back, getting healthy will help, but the depth talent is glaring now. Yeah, I think that's fair, but at the same time, I think for the team, like a lot of these young guys, they're developing or they've invested development capital into. So therefore, you are either going to go for immediate options to improve those positions. Like one of the key things Raptors could do right now is go out there and get a veteran shooting guard. Like that would immediately improve the team. Because the Raptors' backup shooting guards are not it right now. Raptors can go out there and get a backup center right now, and that would improve the team a lot, right? And that take away from minutes from Colin Murray-Boyles, who can be good but mostly isn't. So that's what you can do. But again, that goes back to the central question of this whole episode, and maybe this whole identity crisis the Raptors find themselves right now is: are we trying to win or are we trying to develop? Like it all circles back to this one theme. You know what I mean? What else, man? Scotty's been great for 90% of the season. You guys are insane. Yeah, I don't really see why people are jumping on Scotty. Like, I think there's a level of like emotional exercise and sort of like being happy through a team, which I think is maybe the ideal outcome. It is entertainment after all. You should maybe get some sort of positive feelings out of watching this, whether that's, amusement or joy or whatever. But I also think on the flip side, people exercise like a level of like emotional um, uh, catharsis through sports as well, and they lash out at players that they love that usually come through for them, and then when they don't, they try to be nasty towards them, and I just don't see that as particularly fair, especially to a guy like Scotty who's played excellent all season. He didn't really play that great today, but it's gonna happen. He's a human being, man. Brandon Ingram is like prime Middleton, kind of. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Middleton, yeah. Well, Middleton got to play with Giannis. You know, what I mean, I think could Brandon have won that same championship with Giannis? Maybe. Middleton was great though. Middleton was really good. I had to give him his props. He was a champion. He was literally the closer for them too, by the way. So that's huge. Good news is that we should be able to re-sign Mamu. Yeah. Things come around. Things come around a little bit. The game simply hasn't slowed down at all for Grady, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart a little bit too, man, because I could see the talent there. I can see what it is, but he just looks like lost. Like I hate to say, but he kind of looked like a rookie tonight, man. And this is year 3. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Raptors have really, really tried to invest time, development, minutes, everything into, like, obviously a draft pick into Grady, and for him to start like look like a rookie in his 3rd game, and you look at it, it's like, okay, it's a fake must-win game. Like it's the NBA Cup. Like, we can be realistic about it, but in a game like this, you're like, damn, he can't play at all. Like that worries me, because sometimes you either got it or you don't, and you really don't have infinite rope. You know what I mean? So, and if you had to say like there was like one super bankable skill that he can do night in, night out, and we could keep doing that, and then build on top of that, that part is hard to even identify. So it's tough. Someone said, "No, well, I'm not with you that we're definitely still a playoff team, especially when we're fully healthy." No, well, definitely still a playoff team. That's the thing. It's like talent on paper is talent on paper. If things are going your way, can the Raptors win a game? Absolutely. But I do look at when the games get tough against good opponents, like Raptors, you know what I mean? Like I keep seeing the common themes. They get pushed around for rebounds. They really struggle with outside shooting, and outside of Scotty and Brandon, like teams aren't really guarding any of those other guys. And of course, RJ and IQ come back. That changes things for sure, because those other guys can score a little bit for you. But we can't be playing this RJ Barrett card like crazy like this, man. Like RJ is not supposed to be like the difference between you being winning 9 straight games to now Raptors losing 5 straight games. Like that's, he's not an MVP candidate. You know what I mean? And I think it's on the responsibilities of the young guys to sort of step up and learn and actually grow from some of these experiences. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of valuable ones today. Even small things, like you look at the Knicks, like they're older, experienced. They've been through obviously a lot of playoff runs. Like they know what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. And that's actually a huge part of understanding how to play the game. Small stuff like, okay, if they're going to hedge, they're going to bump, the point of a hedge is you're supposed to bump the ball handler to cut him off, right? But they're going to bump. And they know that they can afford that first bump. And if they bump hard enough, that might be enough to stop the ball handler altogether. What the Raptors will try to do is they'll try to do the same thing. Well, they'll try to hedge, but they'll lightly bump the first time. Then they realize they need a second bump to sort of achieve the result. By the time the second bump comes around, that's a foul called now. Realistically, it's all a foul, really, when you think about it. But there's, that's just one example, but that's just how to play the game. And so when you look at the Raptors, night after night, we look at them and we say, man, Raptors look like they're getting screwed by the referees. You know what I mean? Sometimes I say it, sometimes Jack will say it. I even ran into a fan in the elevator today, going up to whatever floor we were at in Scotiabank, and we had a conversation about, what, Raptors, it feels like they get screwed by the referees. Part of that is they're young and they don't know how to play against the referees. There's so many small tricks. Like, Yaka was saying, last time I saw him at practice, he told a story about how, when he was a rookie, Kyle Lowry pulled him aside and taught him how to sort of like cheat on screens, basically, like how to grab, how to hold, how to push, how to, hook an arm here or there, like, and just like what you can get away with. And that Jakob, as physical as he was trying to do the same screens he was doing in college. And, Kyle basically had to put him on and be like, yo, that's not how we play here. And obviously Kyle's the master of sort of understanding the game within the game. Raptors, they try to play the honest game. You honestly, you try to be an honest man in the NBA, you'll look like a fool. And that might say something about the officiating, but honestly, that just kind of is what it is, you know. And so night after night, yes, we see the Raptors look like they're at the wrong end of the whistle, and they look like they're aggrieved on the other end. But part of that is just straight up the Raptors don't play, like they don't know what to get away with and what they can't get away with. So, do we want AD though? You know what? Kind of interesting. The AD report today that Shams put out was kind of interesting to me. Definitely was on my mind for a lot of today. You know, so the thing with AD is, look, he's got, I think he's got a player option after this year, and I'm sure he's looking to secure probably the last big contract of his career. You know, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medalist. You know, how many time All-Star? Like 10-time All-Star. You know, was MVP candidate at one point. Was you know, obviously was an NBA champion, and even at this point, I mean, he's what, 32 years old. At this moment, he's got 1 year left on his deal. After this one, it's and then a player option after that. So if you get him now at the trade deadline, if he's available, you're getting him for a guaranteed year and a half. And then that player option kind of gives them the option to either extend off of that. Basically gives the team acquiring him, it gives them a great chance to sort of like negotiate an extension off of what he does. Thing is, he's pretty expensive. He's making $54 million, which obviously he's that quality. He's like an all NBA player, but like he's that quality of a player. He's making $54 million. Next year he makes $58 million. And the big knock against Anthony Davis isn't even about what he is as a player. It's always about his availability, and you know that's like totally fair to sort of talk him about, but. The reason you could get talked into this for the Raptors is, could you swap out some of the Raptors' currently depreciating assets for AD, who is, again, on the wrong side of 30, but is still big, is still very, very, you know, he's still a very good player, very talented, and quite frankly, better than any of the players the Raptors would be giving up in this scenario. It's a little bit too far out to be like, it's not the same thing as Brandon last year, because Raptors traded for Brandon at the deadline knowing that they could extend him. And basically it was already negotiated in the sense of like, we're going to do this. Like we're trading for you with the extension already basically agreed to. I mean, it's technically tampering, but you know, I mean, that's the game, right? Again, the game within the game, right? So, and that's because Brandon was an impending free agent. That's not the same case with AD right now, but if you're telling me that like you could get Anthony Davis and the price is like Jakob Poeltl, you know, one of IQ or RJ to make the contracts work, you know, one of your prospects, and then a couple picks, like you might look at that and you're like, well, you got Scotty, you got AD, you got Brandon Ingram. Like that's not a bad three to work off of. Now, granted, the worst case scenario for that type of thing is BI and AD are both injury prone, and so you would need to basically clone Alex McKechnie, keep that man very busy, sort of working both guys. But we already know the Raptors feel one of their advantages. Every team will have their own advantage. Obviously, like the Lakers, for example, their advantage is they're in LA and teams want to go play there. You know, the Texas teams, their advantage is they got no state income tax like Miami. You know, there's always advantages. And I think for Toronto, the team specific advantage that they feel that they have, in addition to obviously they're very appealing to Canadian players, but the big advantage that they feel like they have is that they feel like they have the best medical staff in the league. So they're more willing to gamble on injured players. Like we saw that with Kawhi. We're seeing that with Brandon Ingram right now. They may be more willing to take on AD just because they have a stronger medical staff and they feel like that can lead to AD having more of a availability. The other part too is if you actually have a window to negotiate an extension with AD, and you're trading for him with the understanding that we're not trading for him just to have it for 1 year, but we might add like 2 more years at the end of his deal or something like that. It gets dicey because, you know, it's not going to be cheap, and Raptors are already kind of pressed up against the cap as it is, but whatever. Like, if you're going to trade out some salary, you get one big one back. As long as the talent upgrade is there, all the money is mostly even. The thing is, and again, this is why I thought it was interesting, is AD obviously is Clutch Sports with Rich Paul. Raptors got a good relationship with Rich Paul. I mean, they just brought in Brandon Ingram. You know, and it's not to say that you're only working with agencies that you prefer to work with. Raptors have players from multiple, like probably 6 or 7. Well, that's maybe aggressive. Maybe 5 or 6 different agencies. When you look across the board on their team, but ultimately there are built-in relationships with certain agents, and I do feel like Raptors have a good working one with Rich Paul. So I don't know, to be honest. I think that report said Atlanta was in there as well, and then Detroit. Those are the other 2 teams where. Detroit's different because their record's so strong and they've been, really competitive and they're still top of the Eastern Conference record-wise. They may not even need AD because they already have so much size. Like, I didn't really see the fit there. Like, you already have Jalen Duren, who you should fully extend for a long time. He's been awesome. Isaiah Stewart is awesome as well. I mean, those 2 guys alone, they kind of hold you down in the front court. I don't even see why you would need AD. I think for the Atlanta Hawks, that makes sense because the Hawks have been right there with the Raptors in terms of they're a mid-tier Eastern Conference team looking to make that talent jump. They have a couple of young pieces ready to go. And, like Jalen Johnson's like their version of Scotty. And last year they were in talks for Brandon Ingram as well. They ultimately, obviously, Raptors got Brandon instead. And now they might be competing for the same guy. Like, and I could see it as sort of like that's the jump they want to take. The pessimistic side is, I mean, it's expensive. He's old. He's injury prone. And also, AD in theory is great. You know what I mean? Like, defensively, awesome. Like, I have no complaints about Anthony Davis defensively. Offensively, I'd have to really make a system for AD where it doesn't just end up with him jab stepping from 20 feet and then trying to take a long jumper. Because that's my least favorite version of AD. Like, I want him to obviously have the ball in his hands, and he's a very skilled player. I don't mind him taking a jumper here or there, but I wanted to primarily live around the basket, catch lobs, roll, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, you make that type of move, what is your backcourt, man? At that point, you might be over-indexing, especially on 2s, essentially. Like, you have Brandon who lives in the 2s, Scotty who loves 2s, AD who loves 2s. Like, I mean, it's just... And in this league, like, yes, the size will be overwhelming. I think it will solve a lot of issues for you. Obviously, again, he's better than Jakob or IQ or RJ, whoever you're putting into this trade. But it's tempting in the sense that it's buy low, but I think ultimately I'd pass. I know I spent a lot of time on this, but I thought it was worth thinking about. So, this one from my guy Armin. AD has said 100 times he doesn't want to play center. Does it make sense for a team desperate at the 5 spot to trade for him? I mean, guess what? AD's playing center right now for the Mavs. So, like, what do you want? You get you either get the money or you get what your freedom. You know what I mean? Ideally, you get both, which is great. But you pay him $50 million to be your center. He should be playing center. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? Let's take 2 more, and then we'll go. I appreciate you guys. I see the chat's very active. I know a lot of people watch this game. I know we'll continue some of the discussions tomorrow as well. Actually, when we do the show tomorrow morning, I appreciate you guys for being so active, and I actually really like this. Like, I like when you get so much attention on the game that like you have to really look honestly at what the Raptors are, because it's always easy to celebrate them. It's always easy to tear them down. But I what I'm sensing in terms of the atmosphere in this chat and in the fan base in general and the reaction to this game is it's like a good watershed moment. It's like, okay, we had this like torrid start to the season where it's been a roller coaster. They go 1-4, then they go 13-14. Now they go, they lose 6-7. Like, where is this team actually? Who are they actually? And what should we be doing? That's a great spot to sort of sit down and reflect. And for the Raptors, they kind of hit their midterm right now as like a B student. Not bad, but certainly there's some things to improve on. So let's take 2 more questions and then we'll get out of here. First one, Jacoby is going to be a 3-and-D guy. He doesn't have the handle or explosiveness to get to the rim regularly. We got to be realistic about that. He needs to go for that Danny Green style of player. I agree. I agree. Like, I mean, I think that there may be he's definitely more athletic than Danny was, and maybe he has a couple more post moves and stuff like that, like pump face and stuff like that. Like, Danny wasn't really that type of player. Although Danny did have a couple post-ups as a Raptor too. Like, in the regular season, he used to love posting up. That did ultimately lead to that hilarious play where Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam were laughing about it on IG Live during the pandemic, where they were talking about the Danny play where Danny was like, "I got JJ on me, man. Give me the effing ball. Like, give me the J." And they're like, "Okay, what you want with the ball?" and they threw Danny Green the ball, posting him against JJ Redick, took 2 hard dribbles and then turnaround jumper, and then like airballed the shot and tried to wipe his hands. So that was a very funny moment if you guys remember that one from 2020. But yeah, I think ultimately Jacoby's like, I think even coming into the draft, I think people were like, can he be like KCP, for example? You know what I mean? And I'd be thrilled if he were to be KCP. And I know that sounds like a little bit aggressive, but KCP is also a 2-time champ, and he's been in the league for a decade, and he's probably made like 150 million for himself. Like, people would be pretty good he would do quite well to be KCP. So, but no, as like an off the dribble creator, like I think that's not necessary. That's just not what he has shown that he's been able to do at a high level in the NBA just yet. And the last thing, team needs a Dylan Brooks style player. Absolutely. I've been saying this, man. I've been saying this. I would love for a guy who is that competitive, who lifts the atmosphere of the team, who, even in this game, and you know me, if you heard enough of these podcasts, you understand that, like, I not only like sports, obviously, to watch, and I to play as well. I'm not athletic, so I'm not like particularly good at sports, but I like to play. And I'm the type of guy that, like, obviously I appreciate the artistry, I appreciate the skill. Like, I love watching like Brandon Ingram hit tough jumpers and crossovers, and Jalen Brunson hitting long threes. Like, those are all skill moves. Those are great. But I think one thing I love in sports is like the pugilistic part of sports, like the blood sport aspect, the competitiveness to it, and how much people are willing to sort of go over the line and push the envelope in games like this. I'm not going to lie. When I saw Brunson flopping like that in the first quarter, I was really hoping someone would give him a hard foul, because that's the only way you deal with floppers, man. You give him a real foul to react to, and not just a light one that you can manufacture. I don't like seeing the Raptors get pushed around, just like I don't like seeing the Raptors get cheated. And there are certain players in the world, and I'm not saying this is a good thing. Like, I think that, like, ultimately these are moments of over-aggression, and sport should just be about the sport. But we know sport is not just about the sport. Sport has an element of battle and an element of war to it. You can't just let yourself get punked like that, man. You just can't. And I see the Raptors get punked physically, get pushed around, and then I see them get cheated. And and I guess more than anything else I'm trying to say, I don't see people actually stand up for the Raptors themselves. And there are certain guys that will stand up for you, and sometimes they might be in the wrong. Draymond is a good example of that, actually. But, you know, I would love for the Raptors to get a bully back on the team, is all I'm trying to say. Because Raptors kind of got bullied a lot, if you really look closely in between the lines. So, okay, that's it. I appreciate so many of your comments here, and I love that people have been chatting so, vigorously with each other. This is what I love, is seeing the Raptors actually get to the point where we're back in competitive games, and everyone's together and giving their opinions on the team and trying to build into it. Like, that interest in the team needs to be there, to sort of push the organization forward in general. So, to wrap up your 3 stars from tonight's performance, first star is obviously going to Mr. Brandon Ingram. What's Brandon's full name? Hold on. Let me look up Brandon Ingram's full name. Brandon Xavier Ingram. Wow. BXI, huh? That's kind of sick. Okay. Brandon Xavier Ingram, man. 30 points tonight. Oh, no, sorry. What, 30 points tonight? No. That box score's not updated. Brandon Xavier Ingram, 31 points tonight, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 11 of 18 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3, 6 of 6 from the foul line. This is actually the perfect Brandon Ingram game for me. Is he gets to the foul line a lot. He got actually 6 of 8 from the foul line, sorry. Gets to the foul line a lot, shoots 5 threes, makes 3 of them. The 2 or 3 I'm willing to happy to take. And then a decent mix of mid-range and also going to the basket in between. Like, truly scored at all 3 levels, did everything he could. The team was panicking. They found Brandon. Brandon was happy to lead them. I was really proud of how Brandon played tonight. Again, I'm really happy that over a long season, he's been able to come back and stay healthy, first off, and rediscover the form that we know he has. Like, when you look at Brandon Ingram, you just look at raw talent, man. Like, not just raw, actually, refined too, but he's just clearly talented. Like, it's so clear. It jumps off the page. Your second star, I guess I'll go with Jamal. Jamal was 6 of 15 tonight. That was buoyed mostly by the fact that he went 4 of 11 from 3. That kind of pulled it out to an 18-point game for him, which is a career high. He also got 8 assists. Got a steal, only one turnover. There were lots of moments where he was beat, but again, like Brunson's going to beat everybody. And even Jordan Clarkson, to a lesser degree, is going to beat tough coverages. Jamal's just too small at times, and but you can't really question his heart. Like he comes from the same lineage as Kyle and Fred. I mean, it's a bit of a Charmander meme, Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard meme, and Kyle's Charizard, Fred's Charmeleon, and Jamal is more Charmander. But don't let that flame go out, man. Don't let that flame on his tail go out. There's a little something there with Jamal. I thought he showed a lot of heart tonight, and at one point he played so hard he kind of banged himself a little bit. That's going to come with the territory. The amount of times I've seen Fred and Kyle banged up because they played too hard, Jamal, you're on the right path, man. Don't worry. Just keep your head high. You know what I mean? I love the way you played tonight. And then your third star, I'm going to go with Jacoby Walter. Came off the bench, knocked down some threes, played some aggressive defense. I'm not going to complain with 13 points in 18 minutes. Didn't get a chance to start because they started Ochai. I understand it because Ochai is physically stronger. Ochai is going to be a guy that, even after last game, against Boston, Ochai played well. But as Alex kind of nailed it right on the head looking at Ochai, Ochai is like replacement level player, right? So if you want replacement level, he's not going to disappoint you. He's not going to go below that, but he's also not going to go above that. And yeah, like he's there to eat minutes. He's like Eric Lauer for the Jays, or he's just a guy. He's just a guy. But Jacoby will be up and down. Sometimes he'll be below replacement level, which is very frustrating. He certainly was that against the Celtics game. But he has the potential to be above that. And today he was certainly above that. So I'm happy for Jacoby. Your Gerald Henderson award for who randomly torched the Raps. To be honest, there's not too many guys randomly torching the Raptors. Felt like everyone kind of played to the level that they should be playing at. I think, again, I'll give it to Josh Hart, though. It just feels like Josh Hart is that backbreaker, that X factor that, I was just on a Knicks podcast where we talked about like who the X factors are, and I picked Jamal for mine, and Jamal was very good in this one. And they picked Mitchell Robinson for theirs. My counter was I thought they were going to go with Josh Hart because Josh Hart also had a great game, basically a 20-point triple-double against the Raptors last time the Raptors played the Knicks. But that's the type of guy the Raptors don't have, man. That energy, tough, physical, like kind of has a little bit of that Dylan Brooks in him too. But like just pushing guys around, playing above his size, pushing the break, making smart plays, and then just like scavenging around all the star players. Like, yes, Brunson's going to create a lot. Bridges is going to be able to go in for that quick fire shot, and OG is going to do his thing. Even Cat, who had a quiet game today, is going to do his thing. But Josh Hart just runs around all of that, and just he's like a looter in the riot. And at the end of the day, when you look back at it, it's the stars who hurt you, but Josh Hart also snuck around and stabbed you in the back like 5-6 times. And he had so many of these back-breaking plays. Even taking the charge on Jakob, I felt like that single-handedly ended the comeback, if there ever was going to be one. But 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. The exact type of player that every team needs. 8 of 11 from the field. And also, for a guy who was left wide open from 3 and dared to shoot, goes 4 of 7 from 3. That breaks your coverage right there. So just as the Raptors didn't make enough plays to instill trust in one another, Josh Hart made enough big shots to instill trust to the rest of his team. And that is the amplifying effect that you have from like really good role players. So that's it. Thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate you guys. Again, we'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll be chatting about the game, so look out for that. But it's a tough one tonight. I guess we kind of all expected it. If you're going to be honest with yourself, you didn't think the Raptors were going to be the Knicks, especially in this current state, and they didn't. So the better team won. Congratulations to the Knicks. I actually really respect Knicks fans, and I really like their team. So really no animosity towards them. But yeah, it was a tough one. So thanks everyone for listening. Big shouts to Krem for helping out in the chat, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the show.